So guys, it's come to my attention that many of you guys have been having problems with your streams. Our Discord stream help channel has actually seen a rise in the amount of people needing help with their streaming issues. I'll put the link to our Discord in the description down below in the case that you guys need any help with anything that is streaming related or tech related as well. Personally, I understand why so many people will be looking for help with fixing their stream. When you first become a streamer and open up your broadcast software of choice, whether it's OBS or Streamlabs OBS, it could be totally and completely overwhelming, to say the least. It can be difficult just to set up the program, let alone optimizing it to get a beautiful looking stream. And frankly, if you have no idea what you're doing with the settings, you could end up getting everything wrong and ending up with a stream that looks like this. Your stream's pixelated, it's lagging, the audio's no good, and you have no idea how to fix it. Well, not to worry, we'll get your stream from sounding and looking like this to looking and sounding like this. Well, I'm Psych, your friendly neighborhood tech guy, and today I'm going to be showing you how to fix your laggy stream. So guys, before we get started, I just wanted to give you a quick reminder that if you had any questions about streaming or tech, you could come chat with me during my live streams on Twitch. I go live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and sometimes Saturday at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Links down in the description below. In the description, you could also check out my other social media if you're cool and you want to give me a follow there as well. Awesome, now that we got that out of the way, let's fix your buggy stream. Essentially, when it comes to any quality or lagging problems you may be experiencing with your stream, it boils down to either dropped network frames or drop frames due to bad encoding or bad rendering of your stream. Personally, the streaming software I like to use is OBS. I feel like it's the best optimized program for streaming. But don't worry, you can use the knowledge that you gain from this tutorial and apply it to any other streaming program if you're not using OBS to stream. In the event that you do want to use OBS, I will leave a link to it down in the description below so that you could use that program as well, which I do recommend because it will make the tutorial a lot easier for you to follow along. First things first, for you to fix your particular issue with your stream, you're going to have to diagnose your problem. In order to do that, I'm going to introduce you to your best friend when it comes to diagnosing problems with your stream. And that friend is the stats doc in OBS. This is how this particular doc I'm referring to looks like in case you haven't seen it before. In the event that you don't have the stats doc readily available on OBS, you can actually go ahead and hit view on the top. Then if you go to the docs and then you hit stats, it'll already show up for you. And in case it shows up in the middle here and you want to have it embedded to your stream, you can just go ahead, drag it to where you want it, and it will stay there for you. Personally, I like to keep the stats doc somewhere where I can keep my eye on it during my stream so I can make sure I'm not dropping any frames. Now that we have our little diagnostic tool set up, I'm going to recommend that the next step you take to diagnosing your problem with your stream is going to be to set up a fake Twitch account or to set up a fake account on your streaming platform of choice. If you really wanted to avoid the hassle of making a fake account, you could just stream to your main account, but I personally don't recommend it because I feel like it's kind of inconsiderate to your audience and sort of unprofessional as well. I mean, if you really think about it, no one really wants to just sit there trying to watch you, play with your settings, getting your audio to work and all that sort of stuff. So I think it's best done to not actually stream you trying to fix your stream to your audience. Totally recommend going with a fake account. If you haven't even started streaming and have no idea how to even set up OBS, I'm going to go ahead and do you a favor and leave you a video that you can watch up here in this corner that will show you how to get started in 5 easy steps. I completely recommend also testing out your stream in the most realistic scenario that you can, meaning have a microphone set up, have an overlay set up, have a game running in the background as well, because this is going to truly test if your stream's dropping any networks anywhere. Maybe activate some alerts, see if you drop any frames then, and then you're going to get a true sense of how your stream will look when you're actually streaming. So guys, once you fire up that stream of yours, the numbers you're going to want to go ahead and keep our eyes on are the FPS values, the frames missed due to rendering lag, skipped frames due to encoding lag, and dropped frames network. If your stats doc is showing that you're not dropping any frames, then congratulations to you. You should be running a very smooth stream. However, stick around for the remainder of the video because I'm going to be showing you how you can ensure that your stream will be the highest quality and still make sure that it runs smoothly for your viewers. Or you can also come chat with me when I'm live on Twitch. How's that sound? Now, for those of you who are showing drop frames, let's get into what some of those issues might be that could be causing your stream to lag. First, we're actually going to go ahead and turn our attention to what is happening if you're experiencing rendering or encoding lag. You can find the statistics for those numbers up here in the dock. As you can see, my cursor is around where those two numbers are right there. Just a quick side note, if you're seeing that you're experiencing rendering lag, that means that there's an overload of stress on your GPU. If you are instead seeing encoding lag, that most likely means that your CPU is the one that's receiving too much of a load. If you quickly want to confirm whether or not your CPU is being overworked, you could go ahead and turn your attention to the stats dock once more, and if you look where it says CPU usage, it'll actually show you at what percentage your CPU is working. You can also look at the same number down below and it'll show you the CPU percentage right there on your screen as well. Before we go any further, the first thing I'm going to recommend that you guys do is check whether you're encoding with your GPU or your CPU. In order to do that, you're going to go to the top left where it says File, then you're going to hit Settings, then you're going to go ahead and hit Output, and then we're going to go to your Streaming tab, which is the only tab we will be covering for this video. Then you're going to go to the field that says Encoder and click on the drop down menu. Essentially, choosing X264 is choosing to have your CPU encode your stream, while choosing anything else will make your GPU encode your stream. Just so you guys know, if your streaming PC has a newer NVIDIA graphics card inside, most of them come with a chip inside that actually handle the encoding process for your stream separately from any other processes that your GPU will be handling, like running your video games in the background. This is a huge benefit mostly for anyone who's running a single PC stream and you have to encode your stream and play video games on the same GPU. What I'm saying is that the main benefit of using the NVENC setting when you have an NVIDIA GPU is that you're leaving your GPU and CPU with a lot of bonus headroom, which you would not have with any other graphics card. An additional note for you guys is that while it's true that encoding your stream with a CPU does give you a slight advantage in terms of quality, if you are running a 1 PC setup instead of a 2 PC setup, I highly recommend using your GPU to encode, because if you try to game and stream at the same time, your CPU is going to have a very hard time doing that. Anyway, now I'm going to give you a list of steps that you can follow in order to reduce any encoding or rendering lag that you may be experiencing during your stream. The first step you can take to reduce rendering or encoding lag, which is a lifesaver, super easy to do and anyone can do it, is going to simply be to run your OBS as an administrator. For a lot of people, this might already solve all their lag issues. Go ahead, try it out and see it makes a difference. But just make sure that you always run OBS as an administrator. If you're streaming, your priority should be your stream, not your games, not anything else. Otherwise, your viewers are going to be looking at garbage. The second step you can take to help resolve some of the lag issues you could be experiencing for your stream would be to limit your game frame rate. Remember that if you're having your GPU encode your stream, you're making your GPU work twice by encoding your stream and also by rendering your game. One of the biggest mistakes that streamers make is trying to give themselves the best possible experience of playing a game by putting it at super high frame rates. The best of PCs can struggle with rendering games at 240 FPS while at the same time trying to render a stream at high quality. Here's a life-saving bonus tip for you guys. I'm going to give you a quick example. Let's say your monitor only runs at 60 Hz a second for its refresh rate. If it only runs at 60 Hz for its refresh rate, you have no business running your games at anything over 60 FPS, because your screen will only be able to display 60 frames per second regardless. One of the best things you can do to give your GPU some headroom is simply match up what your refresh rate is to your FPS. What this means is that if your monitor runs at 60 Hz, don't run your games at anything over 60 FPS. You won't be receiving any additional benefits from rendering your games at over 60 FPS if your monitor stops at 60 Hz, and you'll be saving your GPU a lot of stress. If you're still experiencing rendering lag, make sure that you lower your game's graphics settings. It's understandable that you want to play a game that looks beautiful and you want your audience to watch that game looking very beautiful as well. Prioritize the smoothness of your stream over the graphics of the video game. Additionally, to lowering your game's graphics settings, I also recommend that if you're still experiencing lag, you could actually disable the preview window on your OBS. You can simply go up to the preview window, right click it, and then click on where it says enable preview. Doing that will afford your GPU a little more headroom, and it could also help a lot with lag. Guys, additionally, you should remember that when it comes to your streaming, sometimes if you're on a budget rig, less is more. The more scenes that you have on your OBS, the more strain that does put on your CPU and GPU. The same goes for the amount of sources that you have per scene. If you have a bunch of overlays, a bunch of microphones and cameras, your gameplay scene, and your alerts, many other things, it will make it worse. For example, on my stream, I only use my intermission scene, and then I have 2 gameplay scenes, one for my PC and one for my console. It's also highly recommended that if you have many web browsers, such as your alerts and your overlays on different sources, that you use services like Stream Elements to condense those sources into one web browser instead of having them across many sources, as having many sources is pretty taxing on your system. Guys, if you would like me to make a tutorial on how you can condense multiple sources into one using a service like Stream Elements, go ahead and leave a comment down below. The last thing I'm going to recommend is that you remove any unnecessary filters. For example, a filter that isn't so necessary would be color grading on your camera. Sure, it might make your camera look great from a visual perspective, but like I said, you should really be prioritizing not dropping any frames for your audience. If you're still experiencing rendering or encoding lag after trying all those things out, then lastly, I would recommend dropping some of the quality settings in your output tab and video tab as well. First, I recommend clicking on Files, then we're going to go to Settings, and then we're going to go to Output. We're looking at the streaming tab here. Then what we're going to do is we're going to start lowering the quality of your stream until it can handle it. As with all the other solutions I've given you so far, when it comes to messing with the output settings for your stream, you could try lowering and increasing the quality until you find a good compromise between quality and stability for your stream. You don't necessarily have to just smash everything down to the worst quality. Just keep an eye on your stream like we were earlier and see where it starts to get stable, but also at the same time looks good. It's also important to remember that if you make any changes to the quality of your stream, most of your viewers are probably going to be viewing from their cell phones anyway, and because it's a smaller screen, it doesn't need as much resolution or as much quality when you're viewing it from a cell phone as compared to a monitor. So you might want to actually be viewing your stream from both another monitor and possibly also a cell phone, so you can see where your audience falls if they use one method to view streams or another. One of the things that might be straining your GPU is attempting to actually run your streams at a very high resolution, being 1080p. If you lower the resolution of your stream, you will be cutting down the amount of information that your GPU or CPU would have to render. So you could try rescaling the output of your stream from 1080. You just click this box here that says rescale output, and then you could put any resolution that you want. I would recommend 1280 by 720 so that you could rescale your stream to 720p. And that could actually help you out quite a bit. Where it says rate control, as far as streaming goes, I always recommend having it on CBR, which stands for constant bit rate. So that way your stream flows at a consistent bit rate. It doesn't spike over or under depending on the needs of the video. And there's many reasons for that, which we're going to get into later. So just make sure that's on CBR. And then for a 1280 by 720 stream running at 60 frames per second, I would say try to run it at about 3500 kbps, which would be good for that. Next, you're going to go to the preset field and open up the drop down menu there. From top to bottom, it goes highest quality but most load on your GPU, to down bottom where it's quickest, meaning that it's lowest quality but there's less of a load on your GPU. Go back and forth between all these and see where you might stop experiencing any issues with lag, but also make sure that you don't put it so low that the stream just looks horrible. Next, you're going to go down to profile and also open up the drop down menu. From top to bottom, it also goes highest quality to lowest. Again, try experimenting and see where you might fall in terms of that. Last thing, down at the bottom, I would make sure that where it says max B frames, you go ahead and put 2 there as well. And then any changes you made, go ahead and hit apply. The next thing that we could go ahead and look at would actually be your video settings themselves. As I said before, you already tried rescaling the resolution in the stream tab, so you wouldn't have to touch it here per se. But I would go ahead and the next field I would look at would be the downscale filter. If you go ahead and open that, from top to bottom, it actually goes lowest quality to highest quality. Seeing that you're still having lag issues, most people run their downscale filter at bicubic, But if you're still experiencing issues, try lowering it to possibly bilinear. Just keep in mind that since you're downscaling to 720p, it will look a little bit more blurry. The industry standard for a high quality stream is 60 FPS. If you can't handle streaming at 60 FPS, cut it down to 30. It'll still look good, albeit not as smooth, and it could actually save your GPU a lot of stress. Back on your video tab, just go to where it says common FPS values, do the drop down menu, and then select 30. I wouldn't really recommend going anywhere in between 60 and 30 because it might just give you a weird result. Now you've done everything you possibly can do to make the workload easier on your GPU. If you are still experiencing rendering lag, the only recommendation I could make to you at that point would then be to switch your encoder from your GPU to your CPU. We're going to go back to OBS so I can show you how you switch your encoder to your CPU. And I'm also going to try to show you guys what settings you could play around with to try to get your stream to run smoothly. You're going to go back up to File. You're going to then go to Settings. You're going to go to Output. And then you're going to go ahead and click Encoder and drop it down to X264. Now I'm going to show you the CPU specific settings that you can tamper with that we didn't have the option of messing around with when we were on our GPU for our encoder. Now we're back on the output tab. For the keyframe interval, you're going to want to go ahead and set that to 2. And if you go down to the CPU usage preset field, you can see it says higher equals less CPU. Go ahead and click on the drop down menu, and then you can select your CPU usage preset. Now guys, when it comes to your CPU usage preset, medium is about the highest you're going to want to set it when you're using X264 as your encoder. If you can actually get it to run smoothly, most people say that using X264 on medium actually might look even better compared to using your GPU as an encoder. However, it does put a big strain on your CPU, so you'd have to keep an eye on it to make sure you're not dropping any frames. If your CPU can't handle running on a medium preset, try lowering it to fast, faster, very fast, super fast, or ultra fast, and keep an eye on your stream to see how the quality changes, and also check back on the stats doc to make sure that you're not dropping any frames as you switch between the different settings. Once you've done that, go back to your video tab, mess with the downscale filter, change the resolution, and also change the frame rate and see if you could get it to possibly run at 60 FPS or 30 FPS or with a better downscale filter, and see if you're still lagging or not. If you've tried all the tips I've given you and you're still getting either rendering or encoding lag, then unfortunately your PC might just not be able to handle streaming. Consider upgrading either your CPU, your GPU, possibly both. Maybe consider switching over to a 2 PC stream to lessen the load on either one of the PCs, or possibly consider simply playing your games from a console and then hooking it up to your streaming PC with a capture card. If you guys want to look at some alternatives for capture cards or different PCs, I'll go ahead and put some links down in the description below that you can check out. For those of you who now no longer have rendering or encoding lag, congratulations, you're ready to take a look at your network. Now we're going to go ahead and turn our attention to where it says dropped network frames. If you see the number on the left rising or the number in the parentheses, that means you are dropping network frames. If you're dropping network frames, that only has to do with two things. One, your internet speed, mainly your upload speed, and the bit rate at which you're trying to stream. Your bit rate is the number of bits of information that are being transmitted to your Twitch or your streaming platform of choice per second. The bit rate that you choose to stream at has to be directly correlated to the resolution and frame rate that you're trying to stream at as well. For example, if you're trying to stream at 1080p 60 FPS, Twitch states that you should try to use a 6000 kbps bit rate to have a healthy stream in their stream health guidelines. Streaming at about 720p 60 FPS would require a bitrate of about 3500, and so on and so forth. Now, to my viewers with awesome internet connections, hold on a second. I know you have a good internet connection. I believe you, bro. But chill. Something that you have to keep in mind is that the bitrate at which you're streaming doesn't just affect you, but also your viewers. What this means is that even if you have an upload speed that can handle 6000 kbps as a bitrate, some of your viewers might not have the internet connection to be able to receive that signal. In turn, what ends up happening is that on their end, it will look laggy even though you will be showing no dropped frames. This is why it's important that you check if your platform of choice gives you what's called transcoding options. An example of what transcoding options are would basically be how when you go to a YouTube video, YouTube actually allows you to change the quality at which you want to view the video in case you're on a good or bad connection. Using Twitch as an example, you do not get assured transcoding options until you are partnered on Twitch. What this means is, once you've finally been partnered on Twitch, you can stream at the highest quality you want, and your audience can actually lower the quality so they can watch your stream without having a good connection. For any of my nerds out there that are a big fan of numbers, Twitch states that most people with poor connections can't watch any streams that go above 4500 kbps. So that's something that's super important to keep in mind, and a good reason for why you should probably consider streaming at 720p 60 fps until you've been partnered on Twitch. I'm going to leave this chart up for you guys if you want to be able to match your upload speed to the bitrate and resolution that you're supposed to use. If you want to see this chart outside of the video, I'll go ahead and leave a link to it down in the description below. Now that you know which bitrate has to be paired with which frame rate and resolution for your stream, the other important part of that is checking to see if your upload speed is actually enough to handle those bit rates. What you're going to want to do is test your internet speed, and you're going to see what your upload speed comes back as. I'll leave the link to a reliable internet speed test in the description down below as well. So what you're going to go ahead and do is run the speed test. You're going to wait for it to come back. First, it tests your download speed, and then secondly, it tests your upload speed. The test is finally finished, and now you finally know your upload speed. Guys, I seriously recommend that if you can't do 720p at about 2500 bitrate, anything below that is really bad. You could actually see it for yourself if you want to test it. I highly recommend that you upgrade your internet connection. I don't care what you have to do, you know, call your ISP, move, not to be insensitive, but if you guys want to make this a career, you guys really can't expect your audience to just deal with something that's below 720p at like 1000 bitrate. It's just not good. Congratulations, if you made it to the end of this video, you no longer have a laggy stream, or you just realized you're gonna need to do some serious upgrading. I'm sorry about that, but I'm not sorry because I helped you. Let me know what you guys thought about the video in the comments down below. Feel free to ask me any questions you may have. If you know anyone that might benefit from the knowledge in this video, please feel free to share the video with them, as that would be a huge help to the channel. If you enjoyed this video or found it useful, go ahead and like, subscribe, and ring the bell so that way you're notified the moment we release some more juicy content, and so that you're the first person notified of when our videos go up. And like I said before, if you want to see what a beautiful, not laggy stream looks like, you could always check out my stream. Links in the description down below. I go live on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, sometimes Saturday at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If there's any problems I could not help you with in this tutorial, please consider joining our Discord so that our family could help you out with any issues you might be having with your streams or any other tech. We have a great community of people who love helping others, and we'd love to welcome you to the family. I hope you guys learned everything you had to about laggy streams and how to fix them. I love you all, and until next time, happy streaming. Yo, that's what I'm talking about, baby.